What's up guys, Justin here with the CGEssentials.com. So in today's video, we're going to check out a Blender add-on that allows you to quickly create rain in your scenes. Let's go ahead and just jump into it. All right, so at the time of this recording, this is one of the most popular add-ons inside of the Blender market. And basically what it is it's a tool from the creator of the Baggatini add-on, which we talk about all the time. And so we've talked about this a little bit before, but the reason we're talking about it now is because Antoine's gone through and he's rewritten the entire rain generator. Note that, at least for right now, this is currently on sale for 25% off as well. So this might be a good time to pick this up if you've had your eye on it. But basically what this is an easy, lightweight way to add rain to your scenes. And so there's a lot of different things that you can control, like rainfall height, splashes, wind, other things like that. So let's go ahead and jump over into Blender and we can take a look at what it looks like. So this is an example file that you can download that comes along with this. And basically what it is it's a file that shows us what the rain does. So if you look at this Canon file, notice how this rain is being generated in 3D inside of this space. Notice how if I click the play button right here, you can see the rain being generated, you can see the water splashing, other things like that. We'll take a look at the textures in a second. So the first thing I want to note is this is now created as an add-on, meaning that you install it. And so what you want to do is you want to take the file that you get with the download and you want to click on the install button and install that zip file. Once you do that, you want to make sure that you've selected or that you've enabled Bagga Rain Generator. And notice how there are some things down below for setting up your preferences, right? So the default values of the rain, other things like that. So if you do want to set those up in here, you can definitely do that. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove the rain, which is actually being created as a geometry node set up in here. And we can go ahead and take a look at this. So let's jump over into our material preview mode and take a look at this with materials. So there's really two options inside of this add-on. I'm going to tap the N key on my keyboard. We want to look for the option for Bagga Rain. And so notice how there's an option for add rain and add rain shader. And I'm actually going to start with the rain shader. So if I click on this, what this is going to do is this is going to ask me to select a target material, which in this case, because I had this selected, it went ahead and brought it in. And then we're going to click on OK. And notice when we do that, that can take a second or two to compile depending on the strength of your machine and some other factors. But now, if we take a look at this, notice that this has added rain to our cobblestone ground. And so if I was to click on the play button and play that animation from the beginning, notice how this is coming in here and this is generating those rain droplets on the surface, as well as adding things like puddles and some other things like that. Now, if you want to adjust those things, you can just select that material by clicking on the object and then finding this cobblestone floor material. And notice how there's options in here to adjust things like the scale. So notice how if I bring the scale up or down, that's going to affect the number of droplets that are in here. So if I bring this way up high, right, notice how I'm getting a bunch of really small droplets. If I bring this way down low, then I'm going to get a few large drops like this. And so there's some other things you can adjust in here, like the water propagation, which is going to set if this is more in a few different puddles or if everything is kind of wet. So notice how the further to the right I go, the more this wet effect is kind of like, it's kind of like in a few different locations. Or if I drag that to the left, notice how everything more looks super wet and you don't as much get that kind of like isolated puddle effect. And so there's some other things in here as well, but that water shader is basically, or that rain shader is basically going to add rain animation to your scene or to your materials. And so that adds the material, but if you click on this, you can also click in here and add on that. You can select this object and then click on the plus button in order to add rain. And so one thing to note about this is being applied as a geometry node setup to this surface right here. So you can see that inside of the modifiers over here on the right hand side of the page. Now you can adjust things in here using the settings inside of the Bagga Rain Generator. You can also make those same adjustments over here on the right hand side inside of the actual geometry node settings themselves. But notice how, if we were to click play, this is basically adding rain and dropping it down. And notice how when we do that, it's using geometry nodes to generate the little splashes of the rain like this. And so you can see this generating the rain, and then we can make adjustments over here. Like for example, if we want to add more falling rain, you can adjust the density, you can adjust the speed at which the rain falls by bringing the speed up like this. So there's a lot of different things you can do in order to adjust the way that the rain is being created inside of this scene. And so note that down below, you've also got the option to add wind, right? So notice how if I bring this wind value up, then this rain is starting to fall at an angle. So if I bring the orientation up as well as the angle up, then this is going to generate and use more wind in order to set the way that your rain is falling right here. And so real quick, let's toggle over into rendered mode just so you can see what this looks like. So if I jump over into rendered mode, one thing that's going to be important is this is really kind of a cycles only tool. It's not really going to work in Eevee. So if you do toggle over into Eevee, notice how there's no splashes, nothing's really showing up in here. So this is really going to be something you're going to want to use with cycles. But specifically, what I want you to notice is the splashes that are being generated in here. So it's actually generating splashes down below as little droplets that you can see inside of your scene. And so one other thing to note about this, and I'm just going to kind of bring this over, and I'm just going to kind of jump us into, let's go back into solid mode because you can see this a little bit better. So you have the ability to render these as round droplets or round points, or there's also an option in here as droplets. And so if you select this option for render as droplets as opposed to points, then you're going to get these longer, more stretched out pieces of rain, which honestly do look a little bit more realistic when it comes to rain, just because rain isn't really in like circular droplets. When you look at it, it is kind of like these extended almost rays of water. Okay, and so say we added an object like this one. Notice how you're not really getting the rain hitting that object in the scene. Well, what you can do is you can add this object as an additional target to the rain geometry node setup in the scene. And so you want to start by selecting the object that you want and then clicking on the rain. But then if you click on the plus button, what that's going to do is that's going to add that to your targets collection. So you can kind of see that right here. And notice how now the rain is hitting this other surface in your scene. So if you want to add multiple targets in here for the rain to kind of splash off of, you can do that using that feature. All right, so overall, this is a great lightweight rain generator for Blender. It's not doing like ultra complex collisions or anything like that, but for 99% of the things you want to do with rain, it's going to get you the result that you're looking for. If you want to check it out, I'll link to it on this page. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys.